Hello there. In this video, we're going to be looking at the financial or accounting side of the innovative WaoBiz solution. So from the home page, as usual, take a scroll downwards and then look at the left sidebar. There are two or three links here directly related to financials and accounting. So we have the expenses, we have the payment accounts, and we have the reports. In the expenses module, there are three links: to list expense, to add an expense, or to add an expense category. So an expense category simply is category for which money would usually leave the organization. So expense category can always be added by giving a category name and a category code. You can add an expense. In adding an expense, you're allowed to choose the business location, the expense category, if there is a subcategory for it, the reference number. You can auto-generate it or manually generate it. So if you leave it empty, the system is going to auto-generate the reference number. The employee for which this expense is for, and then maybe the employee's contact, the total amount of that expense can also be added. And if there is an additional note for the expense, you can also add it here. Take, for instance, the expense is a refund. You can simply check this box, and the system is going to automatically create a payment entry for this expense category. All right, so we can also, the system allows to also check if this expense is a recurring expense, and then you can set the interval for which this expense can be taken into account on the system. And then down here, you are allowed to add, for instance, the amount of the expense. So take, for instance, this is subscription, leave that auto-generated, expenses for, and we can say this is 25,000, subscription for November. This is not recurring, so we can leave it that way, and then we could make this 25,000. And how was this expense made? By cash or by any other payment method? So we can decide what account this expense should be taken from on the system. So if you take it from here, for instance, you just select the account necessary for that, and then you can save. So on save, you can see that expense that was just added. The action button here allows you to edit or view the expense. There is also a delete button here, but this delete button is only available to those who are given the permission for it. All right, so you can scroll to the right to see additional information for that expense entry, total amount, expense, the employee to whom the expense is for, the payment status of the expense, and expense notes, and who added that expense. All of those information or details are available there. So of course, there's a filter here which you can always toggle. So that is the list expense, and right from the list expense, you can always add an expense by clicking on the add button. Of course, if you click on that, it's going to allow you to add an expense. So that's all about the expenses module available here. So the payment account module allows you to add an account on the system, see balance sheet, see the trial balance, see the cash flow, and also see the payment account report. So if you click on the list account, for instance, it gives you all of the accounts that have been added on the system. And you could also see the balance for each of the accounts on the system. So from here, you could see additional action buttons available. You can close the account, can deposit into the account, can make a fund transfer on the account. You could also see the account book, or you can edit the details of that account. And then at the bottom, there is always a total summary for all of the accounts available on the system. So here you can see if there are entries made on the system that are not linked to any account, the system automatically flags all of those entries. And here it says there are total 33 payments not linked with any account. If you click on view details, for instance, it brings you into the payment account report. And here you can see all of those entries which do not have any account linked to them. So here by the side, you can see the link account action button. So if you click on the link account action button, it loads the account on the system and allows you to select which of the accounts that entry is to be tied with. All right, so if you do that, the system automatically links that entry to an account. So that is about the list account. If we click on the balance sheet, for instance, it brings you here where you can see the balance sheet information for this business or the organization. So you can see all of the details. These are the details available. If there are more details available or more financial entries that have been made, you'll see all of those details available here on the system. So we have the total liability, and we can see also the total assets here. All right, so you can directly print this information if need be, All right, so this is you can as well filter per location for the balance sheet. So you can see here the details have changed because this is the only available detail for this selected location. All right, so that's about the balance sheet. You can as well look at the trial balance. You can click on trial balance to view details of the trial balance. Of course, these are all accounting details. These are all accounting details. So the trial balance here gives you the debit and credit side of the organization and helps you see what balances or what does not balance in the accounts. And then that helps the accounting person to take care of their account as need be. So all of the details are also provided here. You can see each of them, each of the category and each of the amount of entry made on each of those category, whether it is a credit or it is a debit. And then you could see the total of each of those accounting sites, right, given here. Of course, you can also print from here, and you can also filter the trial balance by the location, the business location. All right, the next we'll look at is the cash flow. And the cash flow helps you see how cash moves within the business. These are all the cash flows available currently in the business. So you could see the date it was added. You could see the account to which that entry was made. You could see the description for that entry, customer, the invoice number, the payment reference, and then whoever added that entry. If there is a payment method, you could see the payment method. If there is a payment detail, you could also see that. If it is a debit or a credit, you will also see that here in the cash flow. And then the account balance at the end of that entry will also appear here. And that includes also the total balance. All right, so for each entry, you'll see those details: payment method, account description, payment details, debit or credit, then the account balance. Of course, again, you have the filter here that allows you to check by the account or by the business location or by the date range or by the transaction type. If there are only debits, maybe you want to check for only the debits, you could see the system has filtered all of the credits out and presented you with only the debit transactions. If you want to see only the credits, the system will also be able to do that for you. Last we'll see in the payment accounts module is the payment account report, which we earlier glanced through. So the payment account report simply gives you a payment report for each of the payment accounts available on the system. All right, so you can come here and see all of the details, the date, the payment reference number, invoice reference number, the amount, the payment type, the account, and description, if there are any description available. And then, of course, if there is any action needed to be taken on that account, there you will see the link action button available there. All right, so this is what the payment account report looks like on the system. Having exhausted the expenses and the payment accounts modules, we'll now go to the reports modules to see all the available reports on the system. If you look through all of the drop downs under the reports module, you see that there are tons of reports that are available per organization on the system. There's a profit and loss report, there's a purchase and sale report, there's a tax report, there's a supply and customer report, there's a customer groups report, there's a stock report, there's a stock adjustment report, there's a trending products report, there's the items report, product purchase report, product sale report, purchase payment report, sell payment report, expense report, register report, sales representative report, table report, service staff report, and activity log. For some businesses, some of these reports may not be applicable, whilst for some businesses, all of the reports may be applicable. So to start with, we can look at the profit and loss report. Of course, the profit and loss report gives you the summary of the profit or loss that the business accrues. So here you can see the cost of goods sold. This is the value of all of the cost of goods sold. This is gross profit for this business in value, all right? And this is the net profit shown, all right? So if the details are also shown here, you can see the opening stock in value, total purchases that have been made, all right, and total expense that have been made, the discounts that have been given to customer sales, all right, and then if there are pays that have been done or cost of productions or shipping charges, all of those will be considered in this report, of course. So here is the closing stock, total sales, and total purchase return that have been done. You'll see all of them here. You can filter here, of course, by the location, or you can filter by the date where necessary. So if you scroll a little to the bottom, you could see profits. All right, you can see profits by categories. So here you can see profits by products. That means you can see all of the products, all of the profits that each product have made on the system. So these are available products on the system: access control, catfish, worker stocker, wow, POS, wow, sticker. And these are the profits that each of those products have made for the business. And then you can see the total here. So you can see profits by categories as well. there are no categories on the system here. So you can see profit by brands. So if there are brands for products, you could see the profits that each brand has made. So you can also see profit by location, business location. So profit by business location here, each business location will be listed alongside the profit that they have made for the business. Here is profit by invoice. So all of the sales invoices that have been made, the system is going to bring it to you, each invoice along with the profit on each of those invoices. Here is profit by date. Profit by date, the system lists out the date for which transactions occurred on the system and the profit for each of those days. All right. And profit by customer. So for each of the customer, the system allows you to see how much profit came from the customer. Here is profit by day. All right. So for each day of the week, the system allows you to see how much profit came in. All right. Very detailed profit and loss report. For each of these categories, you can export as a CSV, you can export the report as an Excel, you can print the report directly, you can export the report as a PDF. All right, so that is for the profit and loss report. The next report we'll consider is the purchase and sale report. So this gives you the purchase and the purchase report side by side with the sales report that the system has calculated. So you can see the purchase detailed here, and then you can see the sales detailed here, total sales, total purchase, what includes tax, and then what is due. If you scroll to the bottom, it gives you the overall figure for the system. So the system does sale by purchase. All right, overall subtract the purchase from the total sales and then gives you how much is left. All right, so you can print this report as always. All right, yeah, and you can also filter by location or by date. The next report we'll consider is the tax report. So here you could see the report of tax that apply on products or on sales made on the system. If there are input tax which comes with purchases or the output tax which goes with the sales, you can see all of them here. If tax also accrue on expenses, you will see them here, right? Because there are no taxable transactions that have occurred on the system, so there is no data available to show up here. Of course, there is a filter which you can always toggle, and you can print out the report here. The next we'll consider is the supplier and customer report. All right, so this gives you all of the supplier side-by-side customer reports on the system. All right, so it tells you each of the customer group contacts, whether they be supplier or customer. It gives you the total purchase or total sales that is recorded against that customer or supplier. All right, and then gives you maybe the opening balance and how much is due for each of those contacts. All right, so you can see the report here. The next we'll consider is the customer groups report. Customer groups report helps you see what each group of customer is doing on the system. All right, it gives you the financial implications of each group of customer on the system. There are no customer groups created here, but you can see them here. So for instance, you have a wholesale customer group and maybe a retail customer group. Here you see each customer group listed and the total sales that have been made on each of those customer group. As always, you can explore the filter. Here is the stock report. This is like the inventory report. All right, so the stock report helps you see the value of stock that is available in the business. All right, so you see closing stock by purchase price, closing stock by sales price. So the system does valuation of all of the stock by the purchase price and does valuation of the stock by the sales price as well. And then it gives you an idea of the potential profit that the business is able to make based on the calculations, and then the margin, the percentage margin of profit that profit is. All right, so here you see all of the products or items or inventory listed. All right, and you see additional details for each of those. So you see the current stock for each of the listed items. You see the current stock here and the stock value for each of those stock, the potential profits on each of the listed inventory, and perhaps all of the units that have been sold for each of those inventory. If there are adjustments or transfers made in between locations for each of those items, you also see their total values presented here. All right, so you can click here. Here, there is an action button. It says product stock history. So if you click on it, it shows you the history of that stock. All right, so you can see this is the inventory we just clicked on. This is the name of the product, access control. This is where the business, this is where the product is available. All right, so you can see the detail here. Quantities in, total purchase 50 pieces, opening stock 200 pieces. Did we return any? No. Is there any transfer? No. Quantities out Total sold 27 pieces. Any adjusted? No. How many did we return? Return 10 pieces of this item. Any transfer made on that inventory? No. Then it gives you the current stock of that item, 213 pieces. So if you scroll down a little, you'll see further details on that particular item, each of the movement of that item. On this date, at this time, you see that there was a sales of 10 pieces made for this item, and you can see each of those entry made for that item from start to bottom. So this is the history of the stock since the stock got into the system up till the current date. So this is what the stock history does for you. So we can go back to report, and yeah, we were at the stock report. So that is what the stock report does for you. So the next report is the stock adjustment report. The stock adjustment report gives you a report of adjusted stock. Maybe there were bad purchases of an item, and there needed to be a reconciliation for bad versus good inventory. Whenever the adjustment is done, this report captures the activity of that adjustment. So there's nothing here to show. So everything is empty or blank. So the next is the trending products report. So this is a very informational report available on the system. Very innovative because it allows the business owner gain insight to what is selling in his business. All right. So here is a chart, and it gives you each of the products and each of the best selling products. All right. And then gives you a chart of how many was sold in what period of time, and allows you to see that this product, for instance, access control is the best selling product for this business at this time. All right. So with this, the business owner can say, yes, I need to stock up this particular item because this is what sells, all right, in my business. So for instance, different business locations can have different trending products, all right? Maybe in Ghana, for instance, this is not the same product that sells best. So the business owner can make informed decision, check across his business locations, and then decide or see which product sells at what location best. All right, so the chart here, you can always modify the chart here by maybe applying filter. So there are only 5 products on the system, so only 5 is reflected here. But you can increase the number of products presented on this chart. All right, so that is the trending products report. The items report is what we could consider next. This gives you a report of all of the items or products or inventory available on the system. Gives you the name of the inventory, the SKU, right? Description, when it was purchased, the purchase price, all right, the sale date, the sales transaction, the customer to whom it was sold, the location to where that inventory was sold out, how many was sold out per transaction, and the selling price, all right. As well gives you the stock total at the end of the day, so you can at the bottom see the total quantity that have been sold out and the total amount of that item that has been sold out. All right, so the next we could see is the product purchase report. This gives you a report of all purchases made for each product on the system. All right, so all of the SKUs are listed here, and then the purchase transactions. All right, so these are the purchase transaction reference number. So if you click on any one of them, it takes you into the purchase document. So you can see this is purchase details. All right, this is the supplier detail. All right, this is the business. All right, and then these are the items in that particular purchase, and then you have the total figures at the bottom. So this is the product purchase report, gives you a breakdown of all purchases per product on the system. All right, next is the product sell report. So which is like the opposite of product purchase. So product sell is a breakdown of the sales per product made on the system. So you can see all of the details here. All right. Yes, a ton of details here. Product name, customer, invoice number, date, quantity, unit price. There's a discount, there's a price, all right, the total, and then the payment method for each of those transactions. And of course, you can group the report here. So you may want to see it side by side with purchase. You may want to group it by the date, the sales. So you can group the sales by date here. All right, you can group the sales by category. You can also group the sales by the brand. All right, so all of those details are available here. All right, so the next report is the purchase payment report. So for each purchase made, if there are payments that have been made, you'll see the payments available here. So there are 2 payments that have been made here, both by bank transfer, and one is to the test vendor supplier. All right, so you can see the referenced purchase transaction here. All right, so this is the purchase payment report. The next report we are looking at is the sell payment report. So all of the sales that have been made, payments involved in those sales are presented here, because for some businesses, that sell on credit, you may not get payments for all of the sales at the same time. All right, so this report helps you see the sales and the payments that have been made for each of those sales. All right, so you could see the reference number paid, the amount, the customer name, the payment method, and the payment transaction attached to that cell. You also see the expense report. The expense report gives us a report of all the expenses that have been made on the system. So you will see all of the expense categories and then the total expenses that have been made. The next we can see is the register report. So the register report is a report of each business day. Yes, a report of each business day. You can see the open time here and the close time here. All right, this is the business location and this is the user who made all of the transactions for that day. All right. You can see the total card slip, total checks, total cash, total bank transfer, total advance payment received. So all of those details are captured in the register report. Every day of transaction, the system keeps track and tells you all of the totals that was gained on that particular day. All right, so the next report we could see is the sales representative report. So here it lists you all of the sales representative, all right, and gives you their monetary activity for each of the sales representative. This is date, invoice number, customer name, the status, all right, total amount, total paid, and as necessary. So you could also see sales with commission and then expenses for each of the salesperson. All right, so here is table report. Table report is relevant for businesses that run restaurants or hospitality businesses. All right, so for each table where food is sold or served, you can see the report for each table here. All right, so the next report is the service staff report. All right, so this is also for the hospitality business. It helps you see all of the serving staff and their activities here. All right, so this gives you a report of all the service staff on the system here. All right, so there are no data available here, so it's showing empty. So the last report in the report module is the activity log. So this activity log gives you a log of a trail. It just helps you see a trail of each user and what the user is doing on the system. So this is for control purposes. All right, so admins or business owners can easily come here and see the activity of each staff here. All right, and then can trace any suspicious activity or can see details just as necessary. All right, so you can see the date and the timestamp. All right, the subject type, which is the document that user accessed. All right, the action the user performed on that document, who the user is, and if there is an additional note on that document, you would also see that here. And of course, there are filters here for use. So this is what the reports module looks like. I hope this was insightful. Thank you.